If you're either using Claude, ChatGPT, or Gemini, I get asked this every single week. And after implementing AI across 60 plus different businesses in the last couple of years, the honest answer here is really not what most business owners want to hear. So in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to give you the exact framework that we use when we pick an AI stack and ecosystem, the 3 questions that will decide it for you who's watching this, and also why switching tools every few months is actually killing your team's progress. And so the problem right now is that most teams, if I just come down here and zoom right in, there we go. Most teams are actually running 4 or 5 different AI tools at once. And this means that some people are using ChatGPT, others are using Claude, and maybe there's some people playing around with Gemini or even a Perplexity subscription that nobody's actually approved. And this means that nothing is standardized, outputs are really inconsistent, and there's no real momentum there as a business. And every single month, someone's going to share a new, game-changing tool in the team chat. Everyone's going to get really excited, start playing around with it, using it, realizing it's very, very overhyped and doesn't do what people thought, and then they're going to go back to what they were using in the beginning. Right? This is going to happen over and over again. And so now the reality is that the right question to be asking is not, which AI is best. The right question is actually which one will fit my business and which one will my team actually use. Now, those are very, very different questions. And so the first shift that I'm going to really encourage everyone to make is to think about your AI tools, not as tools, but as an actual ecosystem. So let me just make that a little bit bigger. There we go. So stop thinking about AI as tools and start thinking about them as entire ecosystems. So what this means is when you pick ChatGPT, you're not just picking a chatbot, right? You're picking custom GPTs, you're picking projects, codecs. They even have an Atlas browser and everything that sits around it, including their brand new image model, which is absolutely insane. And when you pick Claude, you're picking skills, projects, artifacts, co-work, computer use, Claude code, and all of that as well. And of course, when you pick Gemini, you're picking the entire native AI Google Workspace integration, Notebook LM, Nano Banana, and even anti-gravity for coding as well. So what this means is you're not just choosing from 3 different apps, you're actually choosing between 3 entire stacks, or as we refer to them as ecosystems. And the second that you understand that, every, should I switch, the AI tool question becomes a lot easier to answer. And the reality is that you can actually ignore probably 99% of different AI tools and releases out there. And just to sort of show you what I mean by that, there's a website called There's an AI for That. And let me just jump over here right now so you can see this is a live website. Right now, there's currently 48,715 actual AI tools, which is absolutely insane, right? So you can safely ignore 99.9% of them, and here's why. Most of them are just what's called a wrapper. What this means is they're using the exact same underlying models and intelligence that you already have access to within Claude, ChatGPT, or Gemini, right? All they're using is a different interface for the most part. So if you've subscribed to 10 different AI tools, you're not really buying 10 different intelligences. All you're buying is 10 different logins for your team, 10 different bills, and 10 different user interfaces. And all of them are only powered by the same 3 to 6 models, right, across all those different tools there. So the intelligence actually stays the same. All that's changing is the actual brand as well. And so this actually brings me to probably one of the biggest mistakes I see business owners making right now, which is platform hopping. And so if we come over here, this is a very, very real reality. And that's the fact that the hype cycle will never, ever end. So what this means is that ChatGPT is going to dominate everyone's minds, the news, and the AI space for a few months, and then Claude's going to go ahead and leapfrog them, and then Gemini's going to ship something new, and the whole cycle starts again. So, unless you've been living under a rock, if you're on social media or YouTube, you will know that at the time of recording, Claude over the last few months has been at the forefront of really everything you see online, right, when it comes to AI, right? And so with every new release, all the different hype merchants come out, and they start saying, this latest feature is running in my $40 billion company, or, this new tool or feature from Claude or ChatGPT is going to kill this entire industry. And, I don't want to put words in people's mouths here, but a lot of what they're claiming isn't really true. I guess you could probably be a little bit generous and say that they're putting a bit of marketing mayonnaise or marketing spin on that. But the reality is when people see that, business owners, team members, real people, they see that, they panic and they switch their tools. And after a few months, they realize, or after a few months, their original tool they were using will ship the exact same feature, maybe better. So then you switch back and the whole cycle eats your team alive, right? Which is absolutely insane. And so here's something that most people don't really talk about or even think about as well. And that's the fact that you're probably not even using a fraction, like 10 to 15% of your current AI ecosystem. So what this means is if you're using ChatGPT or Claude especially, you probably don't have projects set up across the entire business. You probably don't have all your skills built. Your custom GPTs probably aren't documented. Your team really hasn't got a shared prompt library. You haven't touched artifacts, and you're not using code execution as well. And so what actually ends up happening here is that you'll end up switching ecosystems for one brand new feature when you're not even really fully using everything that you're already paying for. And in my view, it's just expensive procrastination, right? And the best thing to do here is try to make the most of what you're already paying for and using, rather than trying to switch things across for the latest tool or feature, which might last for, the advantage might last for a short period of time. So my advice here is to be aware of what's shipping of the latest tools and obviously features. But unless you're already in that ecosystem, don't jump on it straight away, let the dust settle. And in the meantime, go deeper into the implementation of the ecosystem that you already have. And so I've obviously mentioned the word ecosystem a few times, and in our view, there's 3 ecosystems that business owners need to be paying attention to and or using as well. So being upfront here, we use all 3 of these ecosystems. These are the ones that we focus in on, but you and your business, depending on your use case, probably don't need all of them. You could probably just use 1 or maybe 2, depending. So essentially here, if we look at these, these are just a few little comparisons here. I'll let you pause the screen and have a read through all that as well. But what we're going to do is we're going to start with just Claude made by Anthropic. So overall, this is best for writing, reasoning, and coding. That has really good nuance. They have computer control, skills, and projects, and some really, really powerful use cases. Unless you're already deeply embedded in ChatGPT or Gemini, and you don't have an ecosystem, or you're not really deeply embedded in something else, I'd recommend right now to start with the Claude ecosystem. It is very, very strong. Currently, it is the strongest one that's out there. Cowork is an excellent tool for non-technical people who want to build actual apps and assistants. But the thing that they have right now is overall lower brand recognition, overall, right, compared to ChatGPT anyway. So if you don't have, if you're not deeply embedded in ChatGPT or Gemini, start with Claude, right? It's a really, really good ecosystem here as well. Now, if we come over here to ChatGPT, this is, at least so far, the most, or the biggest brand recognition across just people in general. It's the most adopted system in the world. It obviously is the first one that started. And the advantage here is that most of your team has probably already used it or currently using it. Also, custom GPTs are really easy to build and share. And right now, with the latest model release, they have a really, really strong image generation built in. And Codex is also pretty solid for coding as well. The weaknesses and the problems they've got right now is the fact that Claude is shipping so many great features. They have fallen a little bit behind on that sort of race. Although they did just also drop AI agents recently too within the ChatGPT platform, which is pretty good. So the third ecosystem we're going to recommend and we use is the Gemini ecosystem. Obviously, this is by Google. And so if you already have Google Workspace, this is an absolutely powerful no-brainer, really. They actually include it in a lot of the Workspace subscriptions. So this allows you to work natively across Google Docs, Sheets, and Gmail, but also access a tool called Notebook LM, which is probably, in my view, the best in class for research and document analysis. And Nano Banana is an incredible image generation model. Before this latest one from ChatGPT, this was the talk of the town and the best image generation model as well. The problem here with Gemini is their standalone app isn't really that good, at least at this stage. And they lack a few things like projects and skills, at least at this time. Now, there are a few other specialist tools that's worthwhile mentioning as well. That's, these are the main ecosystems that we use and recommend, but there are a few others as well, such as 11 Labs for voice, or Heatsfield or Arcads for video. But also I want to mention Manus, right? This is a really good tool if you're running Meta ads, and also if you want some, tasks running in the background as well, especially around your ads management. So this company was actually acquired by Meta late 2025 for a $1 billion deal, right? Multi-billion-dollar deal here as well. So They're deeply integrating it within the ads manager. You can actually go into your Meta ads manager and connect directly with Memes. It's currently doing a lot of things like reporting. The vision is to do direct like ad modifications and works as well, which is actually pretty cool. One quick note on autonomous, I guess, browser agents as well is like tools like OpenCore. These are really good platforms, but I don't recommend deploying this across your business yet. This is more of a watch this space, but don't deploy it just yet, simply because the risk profile is too high. So you can build it to be very, very secure, to really be locked down and secure for your business. But as soon as you give it real access to things like email, calendars, or subscriptions, the failure modes and I guess what happens there gets expensive really, really quickly. In other words, what it can do is send emails to people you didn't expect, saying things you don't want it to say, as one simple example. And with things like, ChatGPT agents that just recently dropped, and also Claude, they're going to, in my view, ship things that are a lot more safer to use across your business that are similar to OpenCore very, very soon. And so unless you have a really pressing need or a real big desire, it's probably better off that you wait for those to come out as well. So in terms of picking your ecosystem, now, again, we focus on those three. We use all three of those within our company. We are an AI company though, so you may need all three of them, but you might only need one or two. So in terms of your questions, if you answer these, this will help you choose which AI ecosystems to focus in on. So the first one is, where does your team already live? So if you're already using Google Workspace a lot, lean into Gemini, right? If you're using Microsoft, probably lean into ChatGPT because it does play really nicely with the Microsoft environment. But if there's no preference where you're just really starting out, then my recommendation, at least at the time of recording, is to start with Claude. The second question is, what is the primary use case? Now, if you're looking for just general writing, reasoning, coding, documentation, SOPs, use Claude, unless you're already in ChatGPT. It's very similar, but just not quite as good at this stage. If you're looking for things like, image generation, maybe more consumer facing or creative side of things, then definitely lean more into ChatGPT or Gemini. And if you need things like, deep research or document analysis, definitely Gemini's notebook is really hard to beat. Right? So it's actually really, really powerful stuff. And the third question here is, what is the team's maturity in terms of AI, right? So what's their current understanding and knowledge about AI? So if they are total beginners, I do recommend starting with ChatGPT. It's a very familiar brand, it lowers friction, and it just reduces that overall complication. If they're a little bit more intermediate or more, established with AI, and you're not already in ChatGPT, definitely start with Claude or move into Claude, because the depth here is going to pay off very, very quickly. And if you are more advanced, or if the team's more advanced here, then what I'd actually suggest is using probably two or more, ecosystems with a few specialist tools layered on top. And so what I mean by the specialist tools, those are things like 11 Labs, Manus, and other things that I mentioned as well. So that's really it. You don't need to have a 40 tab spreadsheet to make this decision as well. But the real asset here, right, and this is the thing that most business owners completely miss. The real asset that you want to build within your business isn't necessarily the tool or even the ecosystem that you pick. The real asset is your team's AI literacy or AI fluency as well. And so every ecosystem uses the same underlying concepts with slightly different names. For example, a custom GPT in ChatGPT is a gem in Gemini. Right, it's a project or a skill in Claude. And so, Claude Code has a tool called Codex. Gemini has a tool called Anti-Gravity, and it's the exact same concepts, but just with slightly different labels as well. And so once the team understands the concepts underneath, things like prompts, context windows, tokens, knowledge bases, and more, switching ecosystems actually becomes a lot less of a hassle, and it really becomes more of a non-event. So if you think about it like social media, before Facebook, no one really even knew or thought about what a like was. But once the concept existed, every single platform had a similar version of it. So Facebook has likes, Instagram has hearts or follows. It's the same concept, but a slightly different name and different button. So people who understood the underlying concepts could easily move between platforms like Facebook or Instagram or even X or Twitter. But people who only memorized the buttons got stuck, and every time the UI changed, they had a lot more of a hassle. And let's face it, the user interface is going to change often in this AI space. So AI is exactly the same as the social media example. So the teams that will win aren't the ones with the best tool. They're the ones who actually understand the key concepts underneath the tools. And so a quick little analogy just to really drive this home. Imagine if your marketer didn't know the difference between a DN, so a direct message in Facebook or Instagram, and a story. Or your best salesperson didn't know what a CRM was, right? So essentially, this is where most business teams are at right now with AI. They're not silly, they're just unfamiliar with the core concepts. And so the businesses that fix this, that build real AI literacy across their team, will get a durable and an exponential advantage that's going to compound for the following years as well. So they're not going to stay stuck picking tools. They're actually going to start using them as well. So we have built something for this called Earlibird Labs, which is our AI training platform. And this teaches your entire team AI literacy, plus how to get real value out of tools like Claude, ChatGPT, and Gemini, no matter which ones you pick. There's one simple subscription that covers your entire company, whether you've got 1 employee or 100. And right now, at the time of the recording, we have foundation pricing, which is $97 a month, and a link is in the description or somewhere around this video as well. Now, here's the truth with AI, right? There's really no perfect AI, and there never really will be. By the time you watch this video or finish watching this video, there's probably already a new feature or tool that's shipped, right? Which is absolutely insane. And yeah, the businesses that we work with that actually get value from AI, they're not the ones that are constantly, picking new tools or switching ecosystems. They're the ones that have selected 1 or 2 ecosystems and are deeply training their team on that properly. And what they do is they build in their workflows around that ecosystem that compound across the stack as it develops. And if you want help doing that in your business, picking the right ecosystem, getting your team trained in AI literate, and also rolling AI properly across your business, that's exactly what we do. We've done this over 60 times across a variety of different industries. And so I'd recommend that you book a call and I'll personally walk you through what your AI stack should look like, what your team needs to know, and where the highest leverage is in your business as well. So whether you actually work with us to implement it afterwards or do it yourself, that's perfectly fine. The mat is yours either way. So with that, the link is somewhere around this video, and I'll see you in the next one.